Well, I will be totally honest, The Day Before is not a game that I have ever heard of until today, and that's probably for good reason. You see, it sounds like this game was the biggest flop of 2023. It was made by a game studio called Fntastic, which I guess is just fantastic without the A, because why not? And I'm really wondering, like, how was this game a flop? Like, why was it so bad? It's so bad that it has apparently led to some calling it a scam. You see, this is kind of where the problem is today. Normally, I mean, I wouldn't think that that's a problem, that, people are calling a game a scam, whatever, they have the right to call it that. But apparently not, according to Fntastic. God, I hate saying that name. You see, it sounds like Not So Fantastic is suing a Russian journalist website for calling The Day Before video game a scam. So, of course, I had to just, be straightforward. I literally just Googled the phrase, was The Day Before a scam? And I got this from Forbes. The Day Before is real but lied about everything else. So they talk about this. They say the core concept of The Day Before was that it was meant to be an MMO survival game. Instead, it is not that at all. It is an entirely different game, an extraction shooter where you kill things, get loot, and extract to safe zones. It is not a survival MMO in the least, unless you count MMO as its multiplayer and survival as, well, you try not to die. Yeah, so it sounds like it was advertised as something completely different than what it actually ended up being. They also say then there is what the game actually looks and plays like, infinitely worse and smaller scale than any of its past, far more polished trailers suggested. It looks terrible, is almost an entirely empty cityscape where you are lucky if you run into more than a few dozen zombies at a time, and also it's a zombie game without melee combat, incredible, and it is full of absolutely absurd bugs that are honestly probably the best thing about it. Okay, so yeah, that kind of gives us a feel of this flop. And if we look on the Wikipedia page for this game and you go down to reception, it definitely sounds very bad. IGN called it wholly disappointing and easily one of the worst games they've ever played. Games Radar said there's no meaningful ideas. Yeah, it says it received overall negative reviews. I also want to point this out too. Have you ever seen on a Wikipedia page where it says like the reviews like a number out of 10 from a website? Have you ever actually seen 1 out of 10? This is actually my first time. So yes, very bad. So it turns out that yes, this game's final product definitely was not similar at all to what it was presenting itself out to be in the initial trailers. That to me, among other things, could indicate a scam. I think scam is kind of a fair way to describe this situation. That's just in my opinion, but Not So Fantastic does not feel that way. You see, they are suing a Russian website. This is a website that I hope I'm pronouncing correctly. This is Yakutia, and I will say there are no court filings or anything on this actual alleged lawsuit right now. It is just that right now, like it is alleged, and it is actually alleged by Yakutia themselves. They made a whole article on this. It was in Russian because they are a Russian-based website, so I did translate it. So keep in mind some of it does kind of sound a little off, but I think some of that might be mistranslation. So in this article, they say the Kazakhstani company, and they are referring to Fntastic, they are based out of Kazakhstan, managed to order a linguistic study. It could have been kind of a translation thing here. I think they were just saying that like they looked into this website, Yakutia, and that they were calling them a scam. So they say it concluded about the expressions in the articles, I think the articles that they wrote, two different things. A, that the game developers borrowed mechanics from other games, and B, the word scam was used in the description of their past activities. These expressions, according to the experts' conclusions, affected the company's reputation. So essentially, they are saying that Fntastic is basically suing them, allegedly because they feel that this is a form of defamation, calling their product from 2023 a scam. Now, they do also point out that the word scam is new in the Russian language. It's got a lot of different meanings, and that it actually looks like they did end up replacing the word scam kind of to, I guess, try to reduce any confusion maybe for the point they were trying to make. So maybe they actually weren't even like referring to this as a scam, as we know the word to be, even though, like I said, in my opinion, I think that's a fair assumption, that's a fair characterization of it, but they were maybe more going for like a failure. And then they go on to say that this did not satisfy the Godovtsevs. What they are referring to here is the Fntastic co-founders. I know at least one of them has that last name. I think one source source I saw, I think, shows that they both have it. Maybe they're brothers or something, I'm not sure. So Fntastic offered to settle the conflict out of court only if we remove the articles and apologize. And then there's kind of a little translation thing here where it's kind of unclear. I think essentially what they go on then to say is that, you know, they were kind of wondering if their readers would be very happy if they removed this article, and they kind of felt that it was an infringement on their freedom of speech, so ultimately they decided no, so now Fntastic is suing them. And they also kind of point out, I think this is a very good point, that Fntastic is for some reason only suing them, even though others have definitely wrote similar articles. I'd assume, you know, these folks are not the first to ever use the word scam to describe the day before. And yes, I think that's a very good point to make. It is just a very odd situation here that these games creators who, in my opinion, from what I am seeing, definitely created a scam, are now not only suing somebody who called it a scam, but are just suing like that one company, that one journalistic platform. I just don't understand that. When other platforms have very clearly, just from one simple Google search, talked about this in various ways, you know, and have probably used the word scam themselves. So just knowing what I know, I do hope that this lawsuit just gets stopped in its tracks very soon. I do agree that this is very much an infringement on freedom of speech, not only for journalists, but really for anybody that wants to be critical of a failed project.